Tone Jerks Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Gower, and with me today we got
Kyle McIntyre.
And a special guest on the line. We have
Jared Brandon with Brandon Wound Pickups, and I'm on the guitar knobs.
yeah,
All right.
got a twofer. Yeah, we've been talking with Jared for a while. We were on his show, The Guitar Knobs, and we were like, okay, we got to get him
Repay
on
the
our
favor
show,
there.
and then we'll get Todd, Tony on.
I mean, we don't have. I mean, those guys are cool.
No,
too.
it's Pokemon. You got to catch them all.
Right.
Yeah, but So big fan of the Guitar Knobs podcast, fan of the pickups. So we're stoked to have you on.
Thank you.
We're gonna go more into your background and all that. But before we do that, let's get to what's news with everybody. What's new in your week, everybody? Kyle,
Wait.
do a little Roger Rabbit there.
It's like you're going down the stairs on a sled or something. Like cartoon character.
Right.
So not a whole lot, man. I've been working a lot, so it's like not a whole lot new with me. But I guess we have like a combined what's new, you and I.
Yeah,
Kind of sad. We're
an end of an era, I guess.
yeah, we're moving out of our studio.
Yeah,
which we're actually kind
whoa.
of stoked on too. But
Yeah,
Ooh.
we've been sharing a rehearsal space for a couple years.
Yeah, for the
maybe
band.
like 3 years. With our buddy Sean Tolley, and it's been cool. But it's just something that we've been wanting to get into a little bit bigger space, something a little closer to us, and then the fact that like we're not really gigging, so
yeah, there's that. That's the big part of it.
so it's like now that we're practicing more, we're getting like more into the mindset of like a weekly practice. That's when we decided to move out.
Yeah.
But
all right,
right.
we're really doing it.
The
All
big-
right, we should probably leave.
Like the first 3 months of quarantine, we just didn't practice. I'm like, we should have moved out. We were paying for rent,
Yeah.
but not even being there.
Well, we kept our amps there. So
Yeah, so
that was nice of us.
That was like basically like paying for storage.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of like it's cool. We got plans to move into another spot with our friends Hardly Human and closer to where we live. Not that it was like that far, but it's just like yeah.
It's only like maybe 3 miles closer.
But if you can go,
But you know
if
what?
if you don't have to get on the freeway, come on.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal, but
Yeah, so that's the plan. And then in the meantime, we're gonna be practicing in our drummer's garage. And
Yeah.
so some of the ideas we've been batting around, actually, I think we've talked about it before, but I think we're gonna try doing in-ears just to keep volume down with like practice, because in a garage,
Yeah.
might be kind of cool to try out. Yeah.
They're not insulated like houses are. Well, most of them aren't. If it's not attached, I would imagine. Plus, it's out in California. How cold does it get out there?
Not that cold.
No,
Right?
40s maybe. That's
yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's really cold.
So yeah, I mean, if the idea is to practice like during the day, so like his neighbors are. I think he plays drums during the day, and they're usually fine, as long as it's like, hey, let's jam until like fucking like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the neighbor that has to work midnights?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing during the day?
But
Some people are trying to sleep.
we've practiced there before, and it's been good. We've been playing, just out of a practice PA. We kind of run DI out of a Sans amp, and then I was using my Fractal, and it was good. So now I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, we could probably bypass that whole thing, and since we could just bring Kyle's pedal board with a Sans amp XLR into my Focusrite Claret 8 Pre, which is like an 8-channel, like it's an interface and a mixer on its own, so we can
Nice.
send, like the idea is like, oh, we can send 3 of our own like individual mixes of what we want, and we can just kind of mic the drums. So like, I don't know, the idea is like all you would hear is drums. So we're thinking about it, like, yeah, we can just do that instead of having to like set up a PA and kind of get
We
that.
can put duct tape all over everything too.
Yeah.
No one hears it.
So
T-shirts and stuff on it.
cover the drums with t-shirts and stuff like that. But yeah, that's it. And so like I was asking a couple of friends about like, oh, what about monitors and stuff like that? Are these ones shitty or good? I was talking to Steve from 60 Cycle. I'm like, because he plays at church with in-ears, and so I'm like, oh, what's your experience? And so he's like, oh, these are good. These ones are shitty. Da da da. He's like, I got some custom ones and they don't fit. And I'm like, how the hell does
Nice.
that work? How do you get custom? He's like, yeah, I'm kind of bummed about that. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the next move for the band is like, okay, practicing in a garage again.
We've talked shit about in-ears too.
We have. And
Here we are again.
Here we are. I think we've talked shit about going direct only. I'm like, you don't feel the amp, and now I'm like, fuck, I guess we're just gonna have to do inners.
I hate feeling the amp.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need to move air.
Yeah, I was going to say my friends do the same thing. They did a while back. They practice in a basement, and he's got young kids, so he's an electronic drum set, and they all use headphones, and they're not in ears, but it's basically the same concept.
Yeah.
There's virtually no noise. You just hear strings clanging and drumsticks hitting rubber.
Yeah.
if you don't have headphones on.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the idea and the move.
It's like Guitar Center without the amps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
just play play a spider on Insane.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of stoked to try something new, and then that'll also kind of move us more towards getting into doing a live stream recording of what we want to do. If we can dial in a setup like that, then we'll be one step closer to doing the live stream, which we keep talking about, and Brian and I got some ideas, and then Kyle, we're going to need his help building the garage to make it look like a set.
Yeah.
But yeah,
curtains for days. That's my
curtains,
job.
Awesome.
Christmas lights. I think we can make it look cool.
I'm picking the paneling.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. So it's a little bittersweet to move out of the old studio that we've paid rent and shared that for like over 3 years, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then we're moving gear out of there, and since we don't have, well, we have the space, but we kind of just don't want to take it up. We talked to Co Schneider of the Flippin' Flippers. I'm like, hey, dude, can we drop off our amps at your house?
Yeah, my 810 with my SVT head. He's like, okay, fine.
Because I'm like, oh, we don't have a room yet. Can we drop it over? He's like, yeah, I guess.
I'm going to charge you guys rent.
Yeah. Which I'm like, okay, it'd be cool. He can just like fuck around on the gear. And he's got
No, he can't touch it. He can't play it.
Yeah, don't even look at my amp.
Dude, put the blanket back on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well, yeah, we're kind of stoked, but it's a little change of things.
I guess that's my what's new. What's new with you, Brian?
Well, let's bring it to Jared. What's new with you?
We could do that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. The newest exciting thing in my life, other than pickup stuff, would be I got my band back together.
Get the band back together.
Literally, we did. So my first band was, I think, in 1994. I was in high school, and these two brothers, I had met them a few years before, but we had we did all original music, and Mike and Mark were the brothers' names. Mike would write all the music. Mark played the bass. I played guitar. Mike played guitar. We found a drummer a little while later after we had some stuff developed. And that was probably one of my most favorite bands I've ever been in, because it was our own stuff. And there was a thing going on in the mid 90s where around town where all of us around the same age, we go play at coffee shops, some outdoor park venues at parks, and we would get shows together. It was a really good time.
Yeah. Just kind of
we
playing
didn't necessarily,
wherever you could. Yeah.
Right. It was fun because you were around people the same age. It was before we were allowed in bars and, experiencing the 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning drunks and all that kind of stuff, and packing gear and all that. But anyway, when the COVID hit, the pandemic, Mike and I started playing again, but we would do stuff on GarageBand, so we weren't even in the same town. He would write a song.
That's cool.
Yeah, do the thing on GarageBand. He would send it to me, and I would put my spin on it, and that kind of evolved into getting his brother back involved, and we're starting to get together again, carefully.
Yeah, no,
and
that's cool.
Trying out drummers. It's really exciting. It's something that I literally have dreamt about for the last 25 years since we stopped playing, since life got in the way.
Yeah.
We grew up.
Yeah.
But it's nice now that, I basically have all the gear that I've ever wanted.
Yeah, like when you were a kid, you're like, I want this, and now I have it.
Had nothing. No, I had nothing, man. I had one Gibson SG. I was lucky to get that. I bought a 74 Gibson SG in mint condition for $500, which you can't touch now for that. But I had that. I had a piece of shit PV amp.
Yeah.
Like a classic or something. It was awesome back then, right? Because that's all you had. But I bought another one, and I bought the same effects processor I had. I found one on Reverb or something, so I had the original setup.
Yeah,
and it just sounded so shitty.
You're trying to bring like 94 back.
You're like traveling back in time.
I'm really nostalgic and everything. It just sounded awful.
You wear the same clothes and hair and stuff like that. You're like,
yeah, right.
Send me back, Doc.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But for what we have going now, it's a dream come true, and I'm playing again. So that's what got me, basically that's the only thing that could have happened, that I'd want to actually spend time with a band and all that kind of thing again. Mm-hmm. But and I'm doing it, so it's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What kind of style?
You
can't ask me that, man.
No,
what don't we play?
We were into Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so GNR, we were big GNR fans, so you can hear a lot of that influence, and then some early to mid 90s stuff too, like a little bit of Alice in Chains. Nirvana was huge, when I was in high school. That's when Kirk killed himself and stuff. Kids out in the hallway crying about it. Right?
In case anybody didn't know.
Right?
Sorry.
Remember?
Yeah.
No, I remember that day. It was not pleasant, but yeah, so that's what we got going on now. One of these days we'll release it somehow.
No, that's really cool, and it's all original, so you guys are kind of just like,
it is
letting the creative juices flow. I like that whole garage band thing, like a back and forth of like, hey, I have this idea. Yeah.
It's pretty safe, and we're bringing back like 2 or 3 of the original songs we did too, so that's really cool. Exciting. Yeah. It's weird because nobody really heard the stuff we did back then, because it was 25 years ago, and half the people that heard it are probably dead. But, or just forgot that they listened to it, so it's like brand new to anybody else.
New for everybody, and I'm sure even the songs, you're like, oh, it's like riding a bike. You remember them, but you're like, oh man, I could probably play this so much better now or sound better. So you're like, oh, that's cool too. Just to think of
in some cases, yeah. And then we've got recordings of what I did a long time ago, and I'm like, oh fuck, man, how did I do that wrong? It's like, oh yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It is kind of like going back in time.
You're like, shit, maybe I do need that Digitech FX processor.
That thing was a piece of garbage
with the flanger on the whole time.
Yeah. Yep.
Easy on the flanger there, big guy.
Like me when I first found out about effects. I'm like, oh man, this is what
I need all of them on at the same time.
Because it was like a chorus, the whole time. Yeah. Let's just do that. And then like you listen back, you're like, nope,
need that fast rate and the depth all the way up,
and flanger too. That's a solo.
The fuck pre-program those presets too. Like, who did that? Whose job was that?
They wanted you to know that it was on.
Oh yeah, like a demo of like, this is what it can do. So don't do that.
Yeah,
or something like that. It's like, it's funny to think about like how much better or like more time they put into like presets nowadays with like Helix and the Strymon shit, or like a lot of people just play Strymon, like those big Strymon trifecta pedals. They just play the presets. They never actually go in and edit any of them. They're like, yeah, no, I like that one. Did you edit it? No, it's good the way it is.
It's like, yeah, they tried to model it after CE1, but they had everything cranked. Mm-hmm. So you're like, this is garbage.
Yeah. Whereas I remember like the old, like I had like a Pod Go or whatever when I was in high school, and I'm like, none of these sounded good. No. You had to really, really tweak them to sound good.
Yeah, this thing was a rack mount.
Oh, dang.
Shit. It was that. It was old back then.
Yeah.
So, it was ancient.
I like that. What gear are you like? Not that you guys are like jamming at the moment, but like, what gear are you going to use for this? Because I know, like, listen to the show, you have a shit ton of gear, like Marshalls, and
I shamefully do. And let me
you need
just
it for
say
the business,
that
man. You need it for the business to try.
I do. I do, and I'm very, very, very lucky and fortunate that I have all the shit that I do, and I just wanted to get that out of the way. But I just took a bunch of stuff over there just to see what would sound good. Like I think I'm gonna just end up with my dual super lead. Out of all the vintage awesome Marshalls I have, it's the newest one I have. The dual super lead. That's what I'm gonna use.
Oh yeah, I mean those, you can't go wrong with those. JCM 2000, right?
Yep. You don't need extra pedals for that. And I'm running pretty lean on pedals too. I've got some, now it's native audio, but it used to be Red House, with Mikey. He's our guy, man. I love that dude. I haven't seen him in a while, but so I'm running a couple of those. I'm also running a Mutron, the Octafuzz, or the the Octa. Yeah, so that a newer one, not an original one.
Okay.
And then a volume wah, and I've also got a really old Yamaha chorus pedal that if I want to run stereo, and I just turn all the knobs all the way down, and it sounds phenomenal just keeping it on.
Hell yeah,
when you're running stereo.
I'm not familiar with the Yamaha stuff. I didn't know they made. I guess that makes sense to make pedals. Yeah,
it's like 30 years old, man. It's a really old pedal.
That's cool.
But it is. So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. And that's what I got. And my buddy, he doesn't even have an amp, so I just took him my Blackstar HT60. And these amps are pretty easy they turn down with the master volume. So
that's a big help.
It is. So you gotta find the balance. And the bass player, I kind of coaxed him into coming back to the band, Mark, because I said, hey man, if you come back, I'll let you just have my Gibson EB3. I got like a 1970 Gibson EB3, and I'm like, you can just have it if you come back. Like we really wanted to get this thing back together.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm not gonna keep it, but I'll just use it the whole time I'm in the band. I'm like, I don't care, just stay in the band.
Yeah.
and he loves it. We thought that he wasn't gonna dig it because he left the band that he was with for a long time, and we thought he was done, but it's the opposite. He's really into it. So yeah, that's about and I've got just a ton of guitars. I usually play the Les Paul. Then there's one song where I played a Jazzmaster with some wide range pickups in it.
Nice.
They just have it's a really different sound, and because you would think, oh, that's just going to sound like a Les Paul when you have the wide range into a Fender, but no, man, that just has a very unique sound.
I would assume so, yeah, with the scale length and also like the Jazzmaster bridge, adding all that string length too, just like the way that affects the the way the pickups picks up.
Try that again, or you
and I'm like, I like painted myself into a corner. I'm like, how am I going to get out of this? The pickups.
Right. I'm also using a Chasing Vintage guitar. Chase Gullet, and and a couple of Reverends. So I really like Reverend guitars. I usually change the electronics out of them, but Ken Haas, he runs Reverend, and he doesn't give a shit. I mean, he's a super nice guy, super tall like me, so it's just nice to not have to look down. But
yeah,
I mean, you know what I'm talking about. But
when I talk to you though, I have to look up. So, but I know what you mean.
You're pretty tall though.
Well, thank you.
But
I am not
a tall drink of lemonade.
Yeah.
But Ken's super nice. So I like to use his guitars. But nothing super extravagant. I'm not using a vintage Gibson. I'm just using regular guitars,
Yeah, that's cool.
But it's a lot of fun. It's so fun to just. Gear was a problem. You remember how it was too back in the 80s or 90s, or whenever you guys started your first band. You just had to use what you had, man.
Yeah, no, that's like, I think once we
2000s, but yeah, we know what you mean.
We just had to get amps that were loud enough.
Yeah,
right. Oh my gosh,
they had to be so loud. I want the biggest,
right,
and then I want the one above that.
When I was a kid, I would dream about just having a Gibson electric guitar, just something that I wanted that logo on the headstock. I wanted a nice, real good guitar because I had the harmonies and the piece of shit you got from your friend that he didn't care about. He put some stickers on and you tried to make your own, and for a long time. So yeah, I probably have a little bit too much now, but I don't give a shit. Because I waited a long time to have it.
I busted my ass for these.
You can't have them.
Damn it.
Maybe you can.
Yeah. I like it.
That's cool.
That's new with me, man.
Yeah, Brian, what's new with you?
I mean, besides moving the studio, I did get some new strings. Not only just that are they new, they're new size strings because I'm trying to just push myself out of my comfort zone and try new tuning.
All right.
Because I went since I got the Equids, I'm like, oh, I have like basically 3 of the same configuration guitar.
Yeah, now you can experiment.
Yeah, they're each have like a single bridge pickup, humbucker, and an Evertune. So I'm like, all right, they're kind of all the same. I usually like to keep 2 like kind of set up the same so that one could be a backup and I can always just switch and then keep them in the same tuning, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm not super experimental with like, let's try even just, I don't know, a drop tuning or a drop C or something like that, or even just doing it standard tuning.
Yeah.
We play half step down, so E flat standard.
Yeah, we're really pushing the envelope with that one.
Yeah, it's
we
mainly,
have to do that too now.
Yeah, it's mainly just for singing.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what if I just not even that much further, but just play like kind of drop D, but like I was gonna go drop C sharp, but I'm like, well, if I'm gonna get new strings, I might as well just go even lower. So I'm playing drop C. So
shit.
And I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, I got the 11.
Are you dooming over there now?
No, I'm trying to play like I don't know, more of like. I got into the band Pierce the Veil.
I started listening sludge rock.
Sludge rock. They're kind of like faster, like pop punk, but they play like they play drop C, and so like they play like
weird.
But you know, like
how do you? Yeah, wouldn't you just have like floppy strings everywhere?
Well, not if you get 11 to 56.
Oh, that's what we're getting to, Mr. Science Man over here.
And the 56 is. I know people play like I play like 60s or 70s and stuff like that. That's like the biggest that like my Spurzell tuners would like accept
before they snap.
I was like shoving them in there, and I'm like, there's Spurzell locking tuners. I'm like, they barely fit.
Getting a drill in there.
I'm like, I'm not gonna drill these out. I'll just throw away the strings and go back. I'm like, this was a fun idea. I wasted fucking $7.
Yeah,
but I tune my guitar to that, and it is weird. I'm just like my normal, just like. Grab a guitar and start riffing type of thing. I'm like, that's wrong. My little box that I'm used to going to, like the pentatonic, like figure 1 that I know, I have to change that now. And it'll be cool just to try different chords or even just like, how can I, maybe just write riffs. I doubt I'll
open your mind.
Yeah. To me, I'm like, if we write something that I'm like, this would be cool for the band. I'm like, I'm just not going to want to do it because I don't want to bring 2 guitars in different tunings,
Yeah.
So I think of people who have like
you're doing it the hard way. A lot of people just drop acid, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm so deep, bro."
But yeah, I
don't know what that voice. Oh yeah,
instead of drop C, drop acid. Okay, that's easier. Huh? I'm excited. I was talking to Will Lehue, friend of the show, about it, and he's like, "Dude, that's the way to go." 11 to 56. He's like, you should do it. He's like, just play Doom shit. I'm like, no, I'm gonna try playing like metal pop punk stuff. He's like, that works too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just cool to try something.
Try it. Yeah.
Trying something new, and I was just like turned on, my just plugged into my computer, and I just used that like amp roots like plug-in. So I just picked the heaviest sounding ones, like, and they're. I don't know. I usually play 10 to 52, so it's not a huge jump for me.
Yeah.
But it definitely, that 56 is big. And I know people play bigger strings, but I'm like, that is like it's like a tow cable playing something that big.
To tow a truck or something.
Yeah.
Pull a truck out of the mud.
So that's something new for me that I'm just like on my own. Maybe I like come up with riffs or whatever, and I can use them for, I don't know, pedal demos or whatever. But
yeah,
just to have a different type of guitar. Like tuning wise, at least, instead of like, they're all the same. So
when someone goes, I want to play this, you're like, don't play that one. Mm-hmm. Play the other one.
Or if you go to grab that one, you're like, oh yeah,
what the hell?
What the fuck? You just start just like you uncontrollably. You can't stop just playing drop
just
D,
genting and
chugging. Yeah. But no, that's kind of it. So it's fun. So it's trying new things here, and of course I did
not really.
Yeah, a little bit different, but. I wanted to get into some topics, but before we do that, in case you are unfamiliar with Jared, and Brandon wound pickups and the guitar knobs. I kind of wanted to introduce you to the audience a little bit of backstory.
Oh,
here.
cool.
So,
Yeah.
let's see. Maybe start off with guitar knobs. I'm definitely familiar with you on that show.
Sure.
I think I listened to the first episode you were on. You were a guest, and then you kind of became like a host. So, what made you want to be a podcast host? Because I love the show. Like, I think I said it on yours. I'm like, it was listening to the Guitar Knobs is one of the podcasts that wanted me to start the Tone Jerks with Kyle. So I was like, love the banter. It's fun. You can actually talk about guitar shit and not be boring,
Yeah.
Yeah. What got me into it was basically I just wanted to be on the show to get my name out.
Mm-hmm.
And he found me at a local guitar show in Columbus. I had a table with with my product and was at the show selling, and
mm-hmm.
and he walked up. He's like, "Hey man, I got this podcast we started a few months ago, and yeah, you gotta check us out, Yeah, I can't do a good Todd. He's gonna
that's your best Todd.
I'm gonna get shit. Yeah.
Hey man, you want to buy a Rolex?
Hey man,
subscribe. I can do that.
Yeah. He opens up a trench coat. Yeah. He found me at the show, and I was like, yeah, hey, I want to be on your show. And he's like, well, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. And I was like, oh man, he doesn't really want me on the show. So I bugged the shit out of him for the next couple months. Then he got a hold of me. I'm like, yes, I'm going to be on a real live podcast show. And I talked about pickups. I was really nervous at first. And he had actually had two of the original guys there for the podcast.
Yeah, I remember it started out with
that he started with
2 or 3 other guests, or not guests, but hosts, and then it kind of changed after that.
Yeah, so Jeff was still there, really cool dude, and Jay was still there, and Jay is in his band. He plays bass, and I was a nervous wreck. I brought like 3 pages of notes and thought I was going to control the show, and I was wrong from there on out.
Yeah. So still wrong.
But yep. No. Todd's format is I really like that format. Yeah. It's people expect it, and that's why they listen to the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the other fellas, I don't know if maybe the other fellas I don't know what they had going on. They just left the show. Okay. So
yeah,
he invited me. He's like, hey, do you want to, cause he saw how much I love the show and how I wanted to be on the show. So he invited me on to be a knob, and I was thrilled. I was like, yep, yeah. I certainly will. Cause as a business, I can write that off as marketing and, parking, I can mark all that shit off, and going out to eat, all the good stuff that you find a reason to mark off, write off. So, as time went by, Tony Dudzik came on, and we had him as a guest, and that dude's a guitar Bible, so we kept him on. And
mm-hmm.
It's been Tony and I and Todd for I think the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
It works. And at first, I kind of wanted to do it for marketing and to get my name out there, and it just ended up that both of those guys are my good friends, and that's pretty much why we do it now. It's just because we're just really good friends, and
you can tell
want to help.
The chemistry between you guys is there. It's like it's funny to joke around. There's always the back and forth, and then between the 3 of you guys, there's a lot of knowledge. Especially when it gets into the more technical side of things, or even running a guitar music business, having you and Tony kind of asking questions and stuff like that, and then hot potato back and forth. I like that. It's definitely a good listen every week or so.
Yeah, thank you. And it's a different podcast than everybody else's too, and that's what's cool about it. And I don't know. I couldn't imagine not being on at this point. Mm-hmm. It would kind of hurt, but so we just keep.
If it'd be 1 week, you're like, what the fuck? I'm not here anymore.
Yeah, you're no longer on the podcast, Jared.
Sate's take.
I would probably cry.
Just run out of the building.
I don't say a lot. I mean, to be honest, I'm I don't say a lot. I'm not good at chiming in, as you could probably tell, you know. And I interject when I probably shouldn't, but that's the fun of it. Todd laughs about it. Anything I do is like funny to Todd. But I have the would you rather thing, and that makes me feel important, I guess. But
I got my own jingle, man.
Yeah,
you can't cut this.
I don't. Right. Yeah, who's gonna do that? They ain't gonna do it like I can.
Yeah, no, I totally dig it. And I, like I said, you guys kind of do pretty much a weekly basis type show, like interviews. You guys even do like the one-on-ones and like the more in-depth topic type episodes. So it's a good listen. I definitely suggest anybody who's not listening to the Guitar Knobs to fucking listen to the Guitar Knobs.
Thanks. Yeah, and we don't say fuck on the show either.
Oh, it's clean. It's a safe for work podcast.
It is. It's clean. It's really nice to come on here and just be able to say whatever the fuck I want.
There you go. But you also build pickups. So that's
I do.
What? I guess how long have you been doing that? I know I know you've probably went into the whole story on Guitar Knobs, but I'm like
2006.
Okay,
so
take us back.
Yeah. So played guitar in my life. I went in the Army for 3 years, got out of after high school, got out. I was a military policeman. I hated, I didn't want to be a cop. So I got into construction. I was a bricklayer, did that. Union bricklayer. It was really hard work. It sucked. And
damn, yeah.
Right. So in the wintertime, I get laid off because it snows here in Ohio. So, and it gets cold. It gets below zero sometimes. So during that time, I'm just farting around the guitars, and I can't really remember what triggered in my brain to start messing around with the pickups, but I did. So
yeah, because I always think of those as like they're their own standalone thing. Just leave them alone. If it doesn't work or don't fuck with it, just take that out and put another one in.
If it's broken, you're like, fuck,
it's done. One. It's toast. I don't ever think of like, what makes this work?
Exactly. And I remember how that felt. I remember taking apart that Gibson SG. I took a pickup out and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to put this back. I'm going to fuck everything up if I don't put it back. And I did it real fast and I was like, yeah, I'm serious. I was scared.
You're
I was
handling it like it's like uranium or
don't
something.
Tell Gibson. Don't tell Gibson.
I was. Well, I was like, oh man, I can't go any further. I have to just put everything back so I don't screw it up. And now it's, I know exactly what's under the cover. There's no mystery anymore. And so yeah, I remember how it feels, the opposite of now. But time goes on, and
you started like kind of just messing around with it, and then like you kind of got to the point where you think like, oh, I can build this myself, or rebuild this, or rewind it, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I built my own little winder out of a drill, and I think most people, that's how they start. I mean, me, it was barbaric. I'm like, I just have to get something that spins and stuff so I can wrap this wire, right? And people use record players. They use sewing machines. I think Lawler started with a sewing machine. He's got a great book out. You got to read it if you're interested. So people start out with things that turn. Wolf from Wolftone pickups in Washington, he started out with a drill press.
Dang. Oh, damn. That sounds dangerous.
Yeah. Jeez. I know. But so I got a winder around. I put it in a box and I kept it, and I put it in a box and just put it away. And it'd be really interesting to get it out now. But so I just started out slow and just slowly got into it. I bought Stuart McDonald. If you're not familiar with Stuart McDonald, they sell luthier tools, guitar parts, and pickup parts and stuff like that. That's how I started, and I sold my first pickups to my friends.
Nice.
So I kind of know where they're at. It just grew from there. It just blossomed, and I got on eBay, and I got a cease and desist from DiMarzio, and it was great. So you're somebody when you get one of those.
At least, I got noticed.
Someone's paying attention.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. He was the first. Yeah. So years later, here I am, and I do this for a living. It took about 4 years for me to quit my day job and to go
Nice.
to it full time. I had enough. I have these accounts where I make, I don't know, 50 to 100 sets at a time, and they resell them.
Dang.
So,
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so you get enough of those.
You also do like rewinds and stuff?
A lot of rewinds.
Gotcha.
Love rewinds.
Yeah, so that you're kind of like doing like, I guess pickup repair and then also building your own pickups and shit like that. So you're kind of like, you're in it. You're in this.
Do you will you rewind like bottom of the barrel pickups, like Squire pickups and stuff like that? Or are you looking more like, Gibson ones or?
I will wind whatever the customer wants me to wind. I mean,
I will
the
wind
Squire,
a roll of toilet paper.
Yeah.
If you want.
that's exactly right. Yep. Whatever gauge toilet paper you want, man. Let
You
me
better
know.
pay me, little man.
Single
Put
ply.
that money in my hand and then I'll do it.
No, if it's sentimental to them, I will do it. But if it's not, I'm like, don't bother with that.
Yeah.
And Squire pickups aren't bad anyway.
Yeah.
They're actually good pickups. So,
Yeah.
But,
to be honest,
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good little, I don't know, kind of background on you. We're kind of already doing it now, but I wanted to move it into like the topic of talking about pickups.
We should talk about pickups.
That's what I was gonna like. This whole thing is like it's just like
And I'm not talking about trucks.
a dummy, yeah,
Ah.
like a dummy how to of pickups or just like whatever. I have a bunch of just stupid questions I want to ask you. And I'm sure Kyle and I just have like pickup questions, and I was like, oh, we have an expert here, so I kind of this is the topic is like ask Jared about pickups.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's exactly
Yeah,
what I wrote down.
the pickup truck thing. When people ask me what I do for a living, I'm like,
Yeah.
I build
Oh.
guitar.
Pickup.
I always put the word guitar in front of pickups. Otherwise, they're like pickup trucks.
Yeah.
every time. Or
How
do you
are you
make guitar
rewinding?
picks?
You're rewinding an F-150?
You build a whole
I don't
pickup
get it.
truck. You know Ford
Yep.
makes those.
Yeah. They're going to put you out of business.
I know. Yeah.
But
Oh my God.
I don't know. I was thinking about pickups and really, I don't know a whole lot about them. I like what I like, and I don't know why I do, and I just know enough to like do the damage I need to for pickups.
Right.
You said a whole lot without saying
Exactly,
anything.
because I'm like that's where I am, baby. With
I'm
pickups.
dangerous with these words. Be careful.
Exactly. And we stay in business because of people like you.
And that like you helped Kyle pick out.
Oh, you made a joke.
Yeah, there you go. A couple of his humbucker sets.
Yeah.
And basically just like listening to like what he wanted. That was for like a build, so he kind of was. I didn't have any pickups,
Yeah.
but I'm sure you have a lot of people like, oh, I want to upgrade pickups on my guitar. Like when I don't know, for you, not just like make a sale, but like I think everybody thinks of like, oh, the first thing to upgrade, like I have to upgrade pickups. If I buy a guitar, you got to get new pickups. Like, is that always like, when's that like threshold of like, yeah, you should get pickups because of this, or like these pickups don't fit you because of this?
Mainly that comes in play when you're a working man and you have a family. You don't have a lot of income, and there's really no nice way to say that. But if you can't afford a top-notch guitar and you want to buy an Epiphone,
Yeah,
say you pay $300 to $500 for an Epiphone,
yeah,
Les Paul or whatever. If you really want it to sound good and you're really going to hang on to that for a while, I think it's worth putting a couple $100 more into it and changing the harness and the pickups.
yeah.
I think you can get away with doing that for about around $250 and really make a huge impact. And honestly, sound wise, after that, you're gonna pretty much sound like the higher tier guitars.
Yeah.
Because it's at the end of the day, it's the construction of the wood, it's the electric components and how well the guitar resonates. Well, that's the bottom line.
And also like what you're playing, how you're playing, and what you're playing into, that affects it as well. That you're like, well,
absolutely.
At that point, it's that like last percent, or even just like, oh, cool, I'm playing like a really nice Gibson, but this person's also playing one of these, like I don't know, like a Yamaha practice amp or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like the same as like the guy playing an Epiphone through a Marshall stack or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have the nice amps, I don't think you're going to bother upgrading the guitar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, but that's about it. I can't really think of any. I mean, if you're just not happy with the way $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 guitar sounds, of course
there's just no pleasing you.
Yeah, if you're that guy, and I like those guys,
Yeah.
Then if they have a guy, like they have a pickup guy, I've got customers that every time they get a new guitar, they call me. They're like, "Hey, do your spin on this," and I'm like, "Awesome, I will."
I got this guy. He makes my pickups.
Yeah. That would be like the first thing you would upgrade, I would think, is pickups.
Yeah.
As far as like, I don't know, like for
tone, for sound.
a huge change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, playability, other things like a new nut or whatever could help. But as far as like the huge sound change, it would be pickups.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of guys who do that, they want those guitars the way they want them, so it feels like they're, like it's a part of them. It's their guitar. It's just not an ordinary guitar off the shelf.
I'm exactly that person, because I can get a guitar, and then if I change something on it, especially pickups or whatever, I'm like, well, this is now mine. You can't get this off the shelf, baby.
I customized this.
Yeah, I feel like that.
I pimped my guitar.
Right.
The exhibit comes. Yeah.
Heard you like pickups.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I want to say, like, I think I've heard it so many times, and I want to say it's true too. Just like changing pickups will totally change a guitar.
Yeah.
And then, we're just rolling down the list here. Like, I never knew what type of pickups I wanted. I just kind of like went mainly for like, I don't know, what my idols played or whatever. And I think Kyle kind of went like that too. It's like Mark Hoppus played the quarter pound, like Seymour Duncan
just give
bass lines,
them to me.
and he's been playing those ever since.
Yeah.
But I used to play like Billy Joe played a JB from Green Day, and then Tom DeLonge played an Invader. That's all I ever played. And then since then, I kind of only went to them when I was younger, replaced the pickups, and I really liked the sound of that because I got a Squire, and it changed the whole life of it. But ever since then, I've been kind of just like picking and choosing of different ways. I'm like, I don't even know what works. I finally have gotten into the camp of like lower output humbuckers and things like that.
Oh yeah.
It's like, which is a little different than I guess most people would think, because I'm playing punk rock and stuff like that and higher gain stuff. I really like low output pickups. I play the 5Ks from Sonic pickups. Like, he's got the Crystal Palace, the 5K output humbuckers. I'm like, they're great.
Wow.
Yeah. To me, I'm like, he was like, these are really kind of meant for jazz players. But you like them? And I'm like, yeah, I love these. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that would work.
Sure, yeah, they're made for punk rock now.
That's what he says. He's like, they could do punk. Right. He changed his website too. It's like, they're good for punk too.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, that's pretty awesome. I don't think I've ever gotten that request to have a humbucker so low like that. But hey, that's his thing and it's working. That's pretty cool.
But I guess like,
cool.
I would assume the main difference between, like, I don't know. I kind of went more towards low output humbuckers just because of my setup that I have. I've been playing like fractals and digital things that I don't like slamming the front end of it and digitally clipping it, And so I really kind of gravitated towards that, but I found I really like the sound of it as well. But I'm like, is there really a big tonal difference between higher output? Like, so they can go up to like, what, 20K and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, so the three main components of a pickup is basically the shape of the pickup, how it's constructed. Like, you have your single coil, you have your humbucker. And then when you go into humbuckers, it's like how far are the poles? You have two bobbins, right?
Yeah.
How far are the two magnetic poles on those two bobbins apart from each other? That's going to change the sound right there. The windings, like what you're talking about, the output, that's one of three. That absolutely matters. So it's structure plus the magnetic pull, the magnetic strength of the magnet, and there's several different types of magnets. And then there's the shape. Shit, I lost myself. So there's magnetic.
Yeah.
There's a structure, and then the windings. That's pretty much it. I mean, if any other winder out there is, oh, you're missing something, then
they can challenge you to a duel.
Oh, they can email me and correct me, because I welcome that. But we all learn from each other anyway. But that's that's a lot of it. So winding is a very important. So what you're really down the right path with liking that, because I don't know if you remember some of the mid to late 70s artist series Gibsons, like they have that big Moog effects
the
board
RD artist
computer.
ones?
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. The RDs, those pickups and those guitars are low wind,
Yeah.
and they're humbuckers, and they're, it's because it's well, I don't think it's necessarily active, but it's going into an active board.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's kind of the same concept that's ish of what you're doing. And you're right. I mean, putting an invader through, what you're going through isn't the best thing. So you're getting with a humbucker like that, that's low wound. You get more of the tonal qualities of the guitar anyway. You're not burying what that guitar has to offer, as far as when you pluck the string and the oscillation of the string and what it sounds like naturally. So yeah, I mean, you kind of fell into the right direction when it comes to low wind and in the way you're running it into your effects.
Oh, what's the hottest you can wind a pickup, I guess, before it's like unusable?
I don't know.
Like, don't test me. You're gonna do it,
right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So as far as resistance, guitars pickups have used like a 38 gauge to 44 gauge wire in pickup building, and the most common is 42, 43, and 44 gauge. I've got some 50 gauge wire, and that would be insanely hot, but it would just sound weird.
Yeah.
I imagine you would need like a neodymium magnet to match that, and it would just be ridiculous. So I think I'm not sure, but I'm going to speculate that I think after, a level of hotness, it would be redundant maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got your EBO, your Gibson EBO basses.
Yeah.
Those mudbuckers in the neck, those are like 36K.
Jesus.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, yeah. Buddy's
So you
got one of those.
Oh, but they're also they're like right up to like the neck fretboard.
Oh, yeah.
So like they kind of need to be higher output, right?
Yeah.
Not
to get that boomy,
dude, that brown note, yeah.
Yeah.
right. And plus most of those guitars are a shorter scale.
Yeah.
And I guess, maybe the string would move a lot more, so it probably doesn't need to be that hot. Now that I'm thinking about it. That's weird. No, that's cool, though.
Now, a funny thing about those, when, people that tinker with pickups, they go to read the pickup with their meter. They don't know to switch the thing over to, I believe it's 200K instead of 20, because if you don't, it'll read dead. Like the pickup will read dead.
Oh shit!
So if it's over 20K, yeah, or sell them on eBay and I buy them, there's nothing wrong with them.
Damn,
nice.
Yeah, so you have to change the meter according to how hot the pickup is.
Yeah,
and a lot of people don't understand that. So if you get a Seymour Duncan Invader or a DiMarzio that's like 20K, just remember to switch the thing over on your meter. I say thing a lot on the other podcast, man, if you haven't noticed.
The thing can mean a bunch of different things.
I know, man. The thing.
You had mentioned like pole pieces, and then this is another dumb question. Does it matter what those things, like, I guess, like, what they're made of or what they look like? Because I know sometimes they use blades. I know, like, that was like the dime bucker or whatever. It uses like a blade. I know the Invader, which we mentioned before, is like has those big, like, I don't know, bolts. It looks like, And I know, I think bare knuckle, you can change what kind of slugs or whatever they call it. That you can have it look like, like Allen wrench screws or whatever.
The hot rails.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it does matter because you've got your magnet you've got your north and your south. Poles are. Your north is going up one set of poles and your south is going up the other set of poles. So according to what material that's carrying that magnetism, some materials are more, translucent or not translucent, but more, better than others. They're more ferrous than others are. So yeah, there's a level of strength, I guess, with according to what material. There's 1018 steel. There's just different grades of steel that are out there. And then you have your structural differences, like your poles, your slugs versus the blade.
Yeah.
The advantages of blades are, when you pick a string and then you see it vibrate, and that's oscillation. You're never going to have any dead spots with a blade.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally.
So that's a big advantage of blades.
Well, it's like that Reverend guy. Doesn't he make the rail?
The rail hammers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Naylor designed those. He's a super nice guy. If you ever run into him, he came up with the rail hammer, and they still sell them today. That's a really great concept. But yeah, half of it is really big poles, and the other half are the rails. I actually bought one just to have it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great pickup.
And that would that be really like more of an advantage for? I guess I don't know how it's configured. Is it like the blades are on the treblier higher strings or the lower ones?
Damn it! Yes, too fast. But yeah, I'd have to look at it. But I
go grab it. It's cool. We'll wait.
It doesn't. I guess. I guess. Well, yeah. I guess that. Yeah, you'd have to think of like. I guess you could probably flip it too, right?
Yeah. I mean, no. I think the poles are supposed to accentuate what the rails don't do. It's supposed to balance out the volume of all the strings, because your lower strings are usually louder. You have a heavier, larger oscillation.
Yeah, they would move a lot more.
And the small strings don't. So he kind of used the rails versus the poles to kind of even that out.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was really genius. I mean, it's really thought out pickup.
I think I've seen, DiMarzio makes one. I think it's like the Crunch Lab or Liquefier that they do is like where they have one blade and then one set of like pole pieces. And I'm like,
he's a copycat.
I see that and I'm like, what is the difference between those? And then I was wondering with like the Invader looks cool. I always thought it was cool when I was like a kid. I'm like, does that do anything?
Looks industrial.
Exactly. That's what I thought. I'm like, those are bolts.
It looks like rivets, man. Looks like it's on the side of a plane.
This is meant for heavy stuff.
Like a tank, bro.
Yep. It kind of goes along with the industrial rock, the industrial like Nine Inch Nails and those kind of bands. But yeah, that's a really smart pickup. I wasn't aware of DiMarzio's version of that, but when I think of DiMarzio, he was one of the pioneers with the super distortion. I mean, that is an unmistakable sounding pickup, and of course, I think he's credited with designing that. I know he was in competition with Mighty Might back in the mid '70s.
Oh,
and then DiMarzio, he trademarked the actual color of double cream in the early '80s.
Yeah, that's what I think I heard that before. I'm like, that's why people don't do the double cream. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I got that cease and desist too. And yeah,
I read the letter. Okay,
I put it up on my fridge.
I got my own copy. Yeah, but no, but you can be mad at him and stuff as a pickup winder. A lot of them are. They don't. But it's a business. He's a really good businessman. He's really intelligent. And I do respect a lot of his early work, especially the super distortion. That pickup, when a pickup winder that's first getting into winding pickups sees the way they're built, he'll kind of scoff at it because there's glue and there's not very many components compared to a lot of other pickups. But it's got the the hex bolts that they use.
Yeah.
They're barely riveted. They're barely like adjustable. You can tell that they pressed them down in the factory. And they use a ceramic magnet. But man, they sound really good for what they're supposed to sound like, for what they're used for.
Yeah.
And so there's that. It took me a long time to come around and say, he's kind of mean to all the other pickup builders, but he's an actual businessman. He's smart about business, and compared to all the bozos now that go on Facebook and they just give away all the they give away all the sourcing and all that. Now everybody's making pickups.
Yeah.
But and I might seem a little salty about that, but when anybody calls me and asks me, I just really enjoy talking about it and helping them out. But
yeah, maybe he's like a little bit more disconnected from that aspect of it than
he's
he
old
was.
school. Yeah, he's old school, and he exists still, and that's just the way it is. And I can live with that. I'll just stay the hell out of his way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he'll get you if you don't.
But I guess I don't even have a segue. I just have a list of like random ones. Kyle, do you have anything else, or I feel like I'm hijacking Jared?
No,
here.
I asked my question. How hot can you make a pickup?
How hot?
I didn't really answer you, did I? As hot as you want, man.
All right.
Let's just do it. You
Like,
plug it in.
I got an order. Wait, no.
Air amp explodes. Well, that was too hot, Jared.
Yeah. I
I'll
don't
tell
know
you
if
one
it'll have
thing.
any-
You got to just pull it back a little bit.
Just a little.
Amps on fire. So I heard this on. I listened to a podcast called The Fret Files. The guy's a little bit more kind of similar mindset of a old school guy. I think he's like. I listened to the show. It's like he's like a guitar luthier builder and stuff like that.
Yeah, I did too. I think
he's good listen. He's definitely totally different. He's like a little kind of hanging out slower, whatever, but he's got good info.
Yeah.
And he's like, he makes his own pickups as well, winds them himself and stuff like that. And then he had, like, somebody had mentioned something about like, humbucker size P90s. He's like, nope. And I'm like, are they shit or what? I'm like, to me, I'm like, that seems cool for people who have humbuckers and they want to do a P90 because I want to do one for one of my guitars. And he's just like, no, just get a real P90, man. Just get a new guitar with a real. I'm like, people don't have that option. And then he just like never really says like, they're not good. No. I'm like, is that really true? Can you not make a humbucker sized P90 sound like a dog ear P90? Or is that just like maybe an old school mentality? That
there is truth to that. A traditional P90 uses specific, specifications like wire size and how large the actual coil is and the shape of the coil.
Mm-hmm.
And what you have to do is actually change the gauge of wire, and you have to wind that coil smaller than what it originally is.
Oh.
And that changes the overall frequency response. And what that is basically what I explained before. It's the shape of the pickup, how it's made, all the specs combined into one thing.
The shape and the strength, dude. I wrote those down.
The magnets, man, and the strength of the magnets.
It's like fitting a square peg into a round hole. It's like we just shove it in a bunch of times, but you're gonna.
That's easy enough for me.
Yeah,
but so that I can understand why he says that, but I think that if you try hard enough, you can figure out an alternative to where you can, shrink that coil down a little bit and use the same magnet structure. Definitely.
You can get close enough, right?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah. And I understand why he said what he said, and I'm not going to argue against that, but yeah, you can do it and be happy with how it sounds.
Yeah. It's like, maybe the ideal situation would be like, a guitar with meant for, real P90s and stuff like that. That would be the good way to go, instead of like, let's try and Frankenstein a pickup or whatever.
Yeah, so I believe Wolftone, I don't remember if he made rings. I think that you can put P90s on a humbucker in a humbucker thing, or the other way around. I don't remember, but and I'm like, dude, you're gonna pay like $5,000 to $7,000 for a plastic injection mold just to make that thing, but you can just get a guitar with the right pickups instead of getting the conversion kit. But I mean, it was a super good idea. He just didn't go through it. He didn't follow through with that idea, but I don't think enough people were interested. But he did have. If you guys watch the Doug and Pat show, have you ever watched that show?
I have not.
No.
So
YouTube?
there's a here. I'm going to plug those guys for them. You're welcome, fellas. There's a Doug and Pat show, and I think they gear it more towards maybe the baby boomer generation, or actually, it's a really interesting show. I think you guys would like it too. It's just two old fogies talking about guitars, and they review pickups and they review parts. They review guitars. They're friends with Joe Bonamassa and all that thing, all that stuff. And they talk about Firebirds with Joe and my pickups around there. And these pickup rings I'm talking about from Wolf Tone are also on the Doug and Pat show, and it's pretty interesting.
No, that's cool.
So
yeah, no,
check that out.
That would be another cool idea that somebody could do. Just like, get actual P90s and just put them in a pickup, in the same house or whatever. But
yeah, that's what he tried to do. He just didn't follow through. There was I don't remember why he didn't, but
it's probably just the idea and overhead.
Idea.
You're like, this would be cool, but not enough people would buy it. So
right. I mean, not everybody thinks the same.
And then some people I don't know, don't care that much about like how their guitar looks. I think I was watching a Premier Guitar rig rundown, some like a metalcore band or whatever, like a hardcore band. He's like, I love Jazz Masters, but I had to put a humbucker in there, so he just literally just chopped like
with like a pocket knife.
Yeah,
or something?
like it looked like just like a little like a bit. He kind of took it and just cut the space out and just drilled screws into the body for a humbucker, and it looked like shit. But he's like, yeah, I love it. I'm like, yep, you could totally do that too.
He's hoping that guitar gets the same notoriety as Van Halen's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if it works for him, he's like, I love the way they feel. They sound really great, but I had to have a humbucker for what we do. As you would think for metal, you'd have to have a humbucker as opposed to like a Jazz Master pickup.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, and then I'm just going down the list here. I have no segues. Gold foils. What the fuck? That's it. That's my note. I'm like, what are they? Like, they're.
Yeah.
It's like I've never really actually played one, to be honest with you. I think I see them. They look cool. I like the idea of like, it'd be cool to have like a more vintage thing. But they're like low output, aren't they? They're like super low output.
Some of them are like your pancake. Do you know what the term pancake pickup? That's a harmony pickup, I think. And you have your D-Armand pickups. I've
seen those. Yeah. I think I've played a guitar like with that, and I'm like, I kind of didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, what is this thing? I think I was so uninterested in the guitar because it was like an old like what, the Harmony, like Bobcats or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just I think I was just like, I was like blinded by the mojo of them because I don't know, like local bands here in San Diego, the garage one, the jangly, like, surf, pop, punk, whatever bands that are like the ones that get the good Friday night gigs. They were all playing these like harmonies and silhouettes. I'm like, these must be killer guitars. I'm like, no, it's all looks. They look cool. But I'm like, you play them, they suck. Tiny frets. Like the neck doesn't feel well.
Neck.
Yeah, and you're like, and then the pickups, I'm like, they kind of didn't really do me well. So I put it right back on the guitar rack.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely not what you're used to. Especially your setup, but those are really interesting pickups. And what I find interesting about those is how they wound them, because some of them, when you have a bobbin, you have what you call flanges, and that just kind of holds everything together. Well, a lot of those gold foil pickup makers, they didn't even use flanges. They somehow wound all the wire around a magnet, and then they used like this. They were really cheap. They used this wax paper or whatever the fuck they use. I don't know, like masking tape or whatever. It's so yellowy and old, and
they use some bubble yum and
shitty now, like whatever.
Stuck it together.
Some Big League chew.
Yeah, chew that and just like, all right, we need
no,
another.
Big League wasn't around yet, man. But yeah, I mean, right? They just used whatever back then to hold the thing together. I had a gold foil in the other day for repair, and there's backing paper in there, and it was from a magazine, and it had Japanese writing on it.
That's crazy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's really cool.
That's kind of cool that they like just made it work, and then you pull it apart. And you're like, what the hell are they doing? You're trying to reverse engineer.
How are you gonna put this back together now? Shit.
Leo Fender did the same thing. So yeah, Leo was very resourceful, and he would use a lot of paper products like magazines to insulate his connections. Especially when I get an old like a steel guitar pickup, and the plastic that they use just shrinks and it's useless.
Yeah.
So I have to basically rebuild that, and he used magazine clippings inside, and I've got a whole tray full of old magazine clippings and things like that. That's because cool. I know Leo used that.
Do you ever like get like, I don't know, like weary or like almost like like about like touching old pickups and rewinding old ones? Because I'm sure people bring them in, like you said, nostalgia purposes. Like, oh, this is my old, like, I don't know, from my 60s or whatever guitar. Do you think like, oh man, I kind of don't want to take this apart?
No, and I'll tell you why.
Like, I'll rip into that motherfucker.
I will, man, and I'm still that way. Because when I was a kid, I think what helped me get into this manufacturing pickups and stuff was when I was a child, I was the asshole that took apart their brother's toys. You know, I would just tear into Teddy Ruxpin to see how that fucker worked. You know,
and you put it back together, and you're like, "Oh man, your toy's broken. That sucks."
Right? You put Bon Jovi cassette tape in a Teddy Ruxpin. You know?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And, all that stupid shit. But yeah, I used to take stuff apart at home and tape decks and all sorts of fun stuff to see how that stuff worked.
Definitely maybe a different mentality. To me, I'd be like, oh, but you're a little more fearless, I would say.
I think that some of the coolest, probably the coolest pickups that I have rewound and rebuilt were pickups that I didn't realize whose pickups they were until well after the fact.
Yeah.
So I did some late 70s T-tops pickups. They're just the bobbins with the T on it for those who aren't familiar with those, but it's just a regular production pickup from Gibson in the 70s. And I got a set of those to rebuild and rewind. And then the customer came up to me at Summer NAMM, and he's like, "Hey man, you want to see whose pickups those were, who you rebuilt? You know, who you rebuilt them for?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to see." And it was Mick Mars.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, this fucking Mick Mars. I rewound his pickups. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of glad I did a good job.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's Mick Mars. I would have flipped out if I would have known.
Do you know whose pickups you just rewound? It depends on how they said it.
It was his son.
Yeah, it was his son. Well, he plays like what HSS Strat, or at least like he did for a record, right?
Yeah, I think at first he used Les Pauls, but you know, with his bone problem, I think he just went to Strats and put humbuckers in them just because they're lighter guitars. I'm just assuming that.
I think I read like a thing that he was doing Strats because they're lighter, and then he was like playing. I think he did like one of their records with he did all I think it was like, what was the 11 rack? Did you did you design 11 rack? I'm like, oh dang, he did a whole record with that. But no, that's fucking sick, dude. It's like you're just like, maybe that's even better that you didn't know who was playing it.
Yeah, and so I'm like, well, I guess I could just do everything how I do normal anyway, no matter whose stuff it is.
Stay on target.
You just do the job, man. You just do. That's what they expect, you know. And if somebody professional or famous needs a rewind service, I don't raise my price because of who they are. I mean,
you're like, oh yeah, that's gonna be
$4,000 for a rewind.
$4,000 plus. I mean, me consultation fee. That's gonna be another $5,000.
Sorry, Mr. Foxworthy, we're gonna have to bump that number up. That's not a guitarist.
You might be a pickup,
right?
Oh wait, that's Billy. Yeah. Same guy.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. It's rewinds are probably one of my favorite things to do because that's when you go to school. That's when you learn like how they made shit when they made shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And yeah, it's awesome. And There's something I want to mention about wide range pickups too.
Yeah, that was also on my list. Like, I know that there are humbucker, right?
Oh yeah,
That's about all I know. Why
yeah.
it's the difference between them? I know, like, I think I heard somewhere that like there were the MIM Tele Deluxes or whatever. They had the wide range humbuckers, but they weren't really, right?
right.
They were
And
just
I'll tell you
in
why.
the casing or something like that.
Brian, let him talk.
All right, okay,
Jesus.
that's like the way.
Spoiling the story.
Shut up, Brian.
No, you're right. I'm glad you brought that up. So back in '72, Seth Lover, who invented the humbucker for Gibson in the '50s, he went to work for Fender, and I don't remember what year he did. That's not important. Anyway, he was out there.
Look it up, kids.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm not Wikipedia.
Go to Google. So anyway, he's out there, and he invented the wide range. And when you look at the wide range, what really stands out is the size. It's much larger than a traditional humbucker.
Yeah.
And then you have the 3 and 3 staggered. You have 3 on the bottom on one side that show the poles, and then you have 3 holes on the top, and they're damn it, I can't really explain it over. Everybody knows what they look like.
Yeah.
But anyway, the difference between the 70s when they were first invented is basically technology and availability of the technology. So back then, the magnets that they used, they were adjustable, and that magnet material was called kunify, and it's basically alloys mixed up to make a magnet, but it was soft, so you could actually machine that magnet in that has threads on them, so you can turn the fucking things and go up and do your fine tuning stuff. And in the I think they started making them again in the 90s or in the late 80s, but I'm sure somebody will correct me. But they couldn't use kunify anymore because nobody made it anymore. It just evolved into a different alloy because I think copper was one of the main things in the kunify that they use more of. I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure somebody knows more about this than I do. But
any alchemists out there?
Yeah,
any metallurgists,
right? Yeah. Actually, James Finnerty of Rewind Electric is a whiz about magnets. He is awesome about magnets. But anyway, the technology was too old, and the next best thing was too expensive. That's what I'm just going to speculate there. So they said, fuck it, man. We'll just get steel slugs, which are really easy to thread.
Yeah.
And they're just already out there.
they're super cheap.
And they're super cheap, and we'll just put an all-Nico magnet in it. And they use different size bobbins. They use different wire. They changed it. They weren't even as hot as they were in the 70s. The ones in the 70s were like 10, 11K. And then, when they started reissuing them, they were only like, 7, 8K.
Wow.
So it was just kind of a different, it sounded like a humbucker, just like a traditional humbucker sound in a Fender guitar. It sounded good. I'm not going to shit on them.
Yeah.
But they're just not the same pickup.
And the wide range ones, they're more. Is it what's the sound difference between, like, say, an actual wide range and like the, humbucker in a wide range box?
Well, the old ones are hotter. The magnetic is different because the whole magnetic structure is different because the poles are actually the magnets. So you had that complexity and it was built a little different too. They weren't even potted in the 70s. So you had that natural, slight feedback that a lot of people like to include in their playing. But, and man, they fed that bad. They were really fucking loud too. If you cranked it up, it was just unbearable. But yeah, and the humbucker version are just, there's really no better way to explain it than they just sound like a normal humbucker.
Yeah. They just have the look.
They just have the look. And what drives me nuts too is the reason they're called wide range is because they're wider. It's just a wider pickup, and the poles are further away from each other.
Yeah.
so when people want these and they make these humbuckers with the 3 and 3 poles, so it just looks like a mini wide range, but in a traditional, they call those wide range. I'm like, it's not really a wide range. It just looks like one, you know, but I'm over that. But,
so that means like what I think normally what the bass strings or like the 6, 5, and 4, they would, the pole pieces would be closer to the neck. So that would be a bassier sound. And then the other ones are closer to the bridge, so it would be more of a treblier sound.
Well, the only difference is that you could actually, you know, pull. You can screw out the screws closer to the strings, you know, on the top or on the bottom, but there's still pulls underneath the covers. So you had 3 exposed and 3 not exposed.
Gotcha.
Sound wise, it was very, you know, if you took the cover off, it would sound pretty much the same. And there's a lot of argument between, does it sound different with a cover on it, you know, or does it sound mostly the same?
Yeah.
There's just if you had a graph on a computer and you were testing it in a lab, of course it's going to look different.
You could tell, but if you're just like,
you can tell, but if you can't, if you don't know, you know, if you do an A/B blindfolded, you wouldn't fucking know.
Yeah, the smoky bar with like 10 people there, right? Know, on a Tuesday, you're like, it's fine to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I have some pickups you made that don't have any holes in it, and I like the way they look. Like fucking sick.
Yeah. Sometimes like this looks cooler than I didn't even care what it looks like without a cover because it looks fucking slick, baby.
They're cheaper without holes in it, so.
But I think I remember you mentioning on the show Guitar Knobs that like you make like the actual wide range ones, not like the.
Not the fake wide range.
The fake ass wide range.
Yeah.
So I would assume a lot of people would be like, oh, they get maybe those MIM ones, and that's a great guitar, and you can get those and just like, oh yeah, just.
I love them, man. I have one,
and then actually put wide range in there, and you can get that same.
Yeah.
Sound.
Pretty much. The ones I make do sound very similar to the originals. Mm-hmm. Like I said, if you did the computer lab test, you could see it different on the screen, but a lot of people like mine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Lawler makes a good one. Pretty much everyone that I know of that remakes these pickups do a really good job.
Yeah, they can actually take it and be like, oh, we'll do a better job than the Mexican Fender ones.
Yeah.
Curtis Novak, he's super good at what he's an amazing. He's just a notch above everybody else just because of the shit he does. I just wanted to get him in there, but yeah. I love doing the wide range. I went as far as having the plastic bobbins manufactured the way I wanted them. So I took the plastic bobbin, and the original ones were much larger than the reissues that Fender came out with. Mm-hmm. So I can fit the right gauge wire on it now, and it'll be the exact same structure and shape, and you know, therefore mine will sound more like the 70s.
Yeah,
that's the whole idea. Yeah, so I invested in that, and there's a few other businesses that actually buy my bobbins to make their wide range.
Yeah.
So that helps out too. But what I really wanted to get at is Tim Shaw. His name is really associated with Gibson because of his work at Gibson in the early 80s. He's an amazing developer, but he works for Fender. And
oh yeah, the Shawbucker that came out.
Yep, the Shawbucker in the early 80s. Yeah,
so? Yeah, they reissued it now.
Oh, of course they did. Mm-hmm. But what else they reissued? They reissued the Kunafi wide range.
Yeah, okay. I think I remember seeing the rumblings of that like everywhere. It was like, I think Tone Mob. They're like, oh my god. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. So what he did was he actually bought. This is what I heard. So please don't come after me, Tim or Fender. But what I heard was he actually bought a magnet factory, and I'm not sure where, and I don't want to speculate where. So he can totally control having these Kunafi magnets remanufactured and then distributed, so no one else could buy these magnets, which is absolutely smart because me and some other pickup makers were we were wanting to do the same thing, but it's like $85,000 just to even start the process of having it redone, you know. But Fender has the money, so they just bought a factory and they figured it out, and they have them out again, and now you can buy them individually. And a lot of other pickup makers that are selling them for around the same price that you can buy the, you know, Fenders now are like, oh fuck. Because if somebody wanted, I want the original 72 sound. Oh, well, Fender is making the Kunify again. They're making the same old pickup.
Yeah.
So I bought one, and I can't wait to get it because I'm going to open the son of a bitch up and see exactly how, you know, what they did. What did they do bobbin wise? You know, did they have the little, you know, parts in it they did before?
Yeah,
so I can't wait.
Someone wants to know how the sausage is made.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm really excited about it too. I'm really glad. It might hurt me a little bit, but you know, sales wise, but I don't care. I'm really excited that Fender did that. They just did it right. And so kudos to them. I think that's great.
Hell yeah.
So that's my whole wide range story there.
That's cool. That's definitely like I don't know, like I've learned a lot of stuff. We're running a little bit long, so I don't mind because I'm learning a lot, and hopefully the listeners are too.
I'm sorry, man.
No, this is great. This is great shit. I got one more, and then we're gonna like do a quick one, and then we're gonna head on out of here.
Okay.
I don't know anything about active pickups. What the hell is the difference between that and regular passive? I've only ever played and owned passive pickups. Active pickups, what's the deal? Is it just like an EQ that is added later?
Preamp.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yes, preamp. So you have a preamp. The pickups wound very low, like 2K, usually in the most. I don't know a lot about it, but here's what I do know. They're wound very low wind, and they do have a preamp that basically
accompanies it.
Accompanies it and gives it the power. And I wish I knew more about that. Maybe you have more control on how it's going to sound.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more that you can do EQ wise with that.
They're like louder, maybe, or clearer. I think I've heard like conflicting things as far as like EMGs. They're like, oh, these are perfect for metal because they're like so high output and da 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 da. And then I heard the what is it? The Fishman ones are like, oh, they're so clear, the clarity of them, da da da. And then you charge them with a USB. I'm like, I don't want to fucking plug my guitar to a USB to charge.
I also don't want to put a 9-volt in there too.
Yeah.
Right, you have to. It goes dead on stage.
Yeah, that's shit. I used to have a bass that I had a Stingray, had to do that. I got tired of it, so I don't own it anymore.
Like to me, I don't see like clear advantages of that because I'm like, I don't know. It seems a lot more work to do.
The jack gets fucked up, and when that happens, it grounds out or whatever, and then the battery's always on, and it just you're like, why is this thing eating up my batteries? Well, the jack's screwed up. It's usually what happens, but yep. So active pickups, you have a lot more freedom to sculpt them how you want them to sound. That's pretty much why they are how they are. You have more freedom to design how they're going to sound in the end game.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, well, you knew a lot more than I did, so that was good. But
I pulled that out of my ass.
I'm going to take it as that's gospel now. Me and the listeners are going to be like, "Yep, that's fact." Jared said it.
But it sounded good, right?
We normally do 2 topics, so we got one more quick one, and we're going to head on out of here. We're going to do a bang, marry, kill, a BMK here. So, but since we were so gear heavy this episode, we're going to switch it up. We're going to do food here. So, bang, marry, kill, burgers, burritos, or pizza. Which one's the favorite, least favorite? Which one's the one?
Should be burgers, burritos, and Baskin Robbins. Just stick with the B's.
Stick with the alliteration, yeah.
No.
Baskin Robbins. What is it, 32 flavors?
That's all you have for me?
No.
You want to go first, Jared, or Kyle? Me? Who?
Brian, you go first.
Yeah, when you guys. I got to think about it.
Let's see. Yeah. I am going to. I do like a good burger, but fucking kill it. Boom. And I think I'm going to burritos, bang, pizza. Because like burritos, man, they can like range all the way from like Taco Bell all the way to like your taco shop, like or to like restaurant style burrito, anything like that. They're all good, and yeah, so it's hard to fuck that up. So I'm gonna marry that one. Pizza is always good. So that's another way. I'm like, it can just like be great, but I don't know if like the best pizza is going to be as good as the best burrito. Whatever it's going to be, either like breakfast burrito, and also another thing, burritos can be breakfast. They can be,
You could have a pizza burrito, and then you're like, which one? Oh no, I don't know. Bang! I'm gonna bang him. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna marry it.
Yeah, you could roll a pizza up like a pizza doobie.
Fuck.
And
Like a hand rolled sushi.
yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like this one's like a quick one, but I'm like, you can't lose in either way.
Yeah. I'll go if you want to.
I like how I was actually writing notes down. For
I know.
this.
I had to lay this all out.
Everything else he just like pickups topic, and then he's like bang, marry, kill, pizza, burgers.
I'm like,
oh shit! I need
biting
to
my
figure-
nails over here. Oh no! What am I
like
gonna
a
do?
like a Tess. He's sweating.
I guess I will have to bang the burrito.
Okay.
Right? I'm gonna have to marry the pizza.
Yeah.
Even though my heartburn. I mean, come on. Still a match made in heaven.
take what's the medicine you take for heartburn?
Prilosec?
Yeah, I take an extra Prilosec before.
Yeah. Double dose. You probably shouldn't double dose on that stuff.
No.
And then kill the burger. I mean, burgers are good, but it's like one trick pony.
What's wrong with you guys?
Maybe we just don't have great burgers here.
You gotta come out here, man.
Yeah.
I'm like yeah. The last
Okay.
burger I had was a Carl's Jr.
Yeah. We're aiming real high over here.
I'll bang the pizza,
All right.
and I'm gonna make. Yeah, I've had some really good pizza, and like this pizza in particular at the Italian Fest in Cleveland, Ohio. Some guy had this brick pizza trailer thingy.
Oh shit!
So
there
he
you
was
go.
making this brick pizza thing, and there was hardly any pizza there itself, but it was some of the best pizza I ever had. It was just the crust. He did it in a certain way, and sauce, like the tomato sauce, and then barely any cheese. But
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it was so good. Like it's the best pizza I've ever had, and it was like from 3 years ago.
You're still,
And,
still dreaming. Like, where's that guy?
I am.
Where's he
like,
live? I'm sure he's cooking right now.
Yeah.
For all
What's
I
he
know,
doing?
right? So for all I know, he did that for a year and he gave up. But he had awesome.
He had a
Go
good,
get
good
that
year.
trailer then, dude.
Right? Yeah, I know, right? I'm just gonna put it in my backyard, like put it beside the grill. Yeah.
Put it at the the Guitar Knob Studios. So every episode, you guys pull up brick fire pizza.
You gotta preheat the oven by throwing in like 70 logs in there.
Yeah.
I don't even. Yeah, it was amazing. And then what did I say? I would marry the pizza? No, I said I would bang the pizza. Right?
Yeah.
I will marry the burger.
Oh shit.
I love burgers out here. There's a place here called Thurman's Cafe. It was on the Guy Fieri show, the Drivers, Dine-Ins and Drives, whatever that show.
Triple D. Flavor Town.
Yep.
Yeah.
That guy. So yeah, awesome burgers. We have great craft burgers here, and the hell with the burrito.
Yeah.
I don't.
I guess
I've never been a burrito guy.
probably a regional thing.
Maybe.
I mean,
Yeah. We're San Diego.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're right about. I mean, there's no wrong answer here because like burgers.
Yeah, we're not gonna fight you. On
You
this.
could make a like as far as like what we're all capable of. Everybody could make a kick-ass burger.
Right.
What you can do in your own pad, you can make a kick-ass burger. As like a burrito, that's gonna be hit or miss.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, no,
A lot more ingredients that go into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a risk for the aftermath of that as well. So, I would definitely try more burritos out west. If you guys are, talking good about the burrito.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We got Chipotle out here, right? I mean, Chipotle makes a decent burrito. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't know, cilantro in them. And I don't know.
A little fancy. I
different,
mean.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, but-
it's funny because we're from San Diego and everybody's like, oh, Chipotle sucks. I'm like, no, Chipotle is great.
Chipotle is great.
It's
Yeah, it is.
sick.
No, it's good out. I like it. It's different, but
Hell yeah.
that's all I got.
No, that was fun. So
All right.
let's bring this on home. But before we head on out of here, Jared, thank you so much. This was so much fun. I actually legit learned a lot.
Well, I feel privileged to be on the show, man. Thank you so much for letting me be on here. And like I said, shout out to my guys at the other podcast. And thanks for letting me ramble on about the shit that I do every day. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I said a lot. I probably said more on this podcast than I usually say on the other one for a year's worth.
You're the star here, baby. But
you gold, baby.
But I'm going to bring this in for a landing here. Thank you so much to the listener out there, for tuning into the Tone Jerks podcast.
Thank you.
If you like what you hear, you can follow along on social media. We have a Facebook group. Search the Tone Jerks, and you'll find it. Join it. And we have an Instagram.
Oh yeah.
See how I brought that to an A to an An?
Oh yeah.
We have, at the Tone Jerks, we're posting cool shit on the reg. And if you really like the show, you can help support it on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. But if you double down for $2 a month, you get an extra episode every week. And just for the support, we wanted to give everyone a huge shout out, a sizable acknowledgement. Kyle, you got a list over there?
I got it right here.
You're gonna give it to me, Bobby?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and do that at least.
Wait, all right. You guys are gonna read. You get to have their name on the thing.
Yeah,
on the thing. We got them on the thing.
We're gonna try.
Let's do it.
All right. We have Andrew Walsh, Adam Rohr from the Let 'Em Hear podcast, Doug King, Doug Christ from 37 Effects.
There we go. Cheers to that.
There's our boy.
One of these natty seltzers.
Yeah.
Natty
Slow down with those,
baby.
Okay. Abe Newman.
Got the
Michael Newman.
Aloha Beaches one. The peach mango.
You gotta say it. Aloha Beaches?
Beach.
All right.
Back to the name.
Where was I? Abe Newman, Michael Newman, Aaron Taylor, Nicholas Payson, Nicholas Ogburn, Colin Smith, Jason Fuzzmonger. We have Joe from Like My Pedals, Will and RJ from the Just Surprise Me podcast, The Jism Boys. Hey, they picked the name. They knew we were going to do that. We have Ramyorn, Jamie Davis, Jim Bowers, Johnny Ray, Steve Mike, Steve Rao from 60 Cycle Hum, Kevin Equits from Equits Guitars. You just got a guitar made by him. Jump on the list.
Yeah, get on the list. I'm thinking about getting on it again.
Oh, God. Nice.
Well, jump in before me.
Yeah. Brian wants all the guitars, apparently.
Yeah. I need some wide range humbuckers.
Yeah. We're talking to the right guy.
Yeah, there's Brandon.
Yeah. Co Schneider from the Flippin' Flippers podcast. Is it okay if I read these?
Yeah, okay.
You going to interrupt me some more?
Do it.
All right. Brett Alexander.
He gets hostile. I take.
This is my only thing.
I know.
Okay. I whisper throughout the whole episode so I can just get to this point.
Kyle, he's got his banger. He's like, so how hot can the pickups get?
Boom. I'm out. I'm out, bitches.
Pull ripcord now. And I step on the name. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Do you see what we're doing here? Do you see I have this in my hand?
He just wind up. Gonna knock my block off.
Alvaro Viramontes. Brian from Nutter Guitars. Leon from Pelican Noiseworks. Abe Froman, the Sausage King of Chicago. Sean Fahey. Sean Arbo from Gun Street Wiring Shop. Sean Wright from Lollygagger Effects. That's one of your boys, too.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny.
All right. Juan Ortiz from Tone Hungry Effects. Mike Oxbig.
What?
I don't know who that is, but I love that name. It's so funny. It cracks me up every time.
I think when we first wrote it down, we didn't realize it. And then when we started saying it, we're like,
Yeah, it wasn't until the actual episode. And I'm like, that's good.
So you could, anyone here could change their name.
They're just gag names.
Yeah, we got a couple in here already.
I was going to say, you guys have the awesome names, man.
Yeah, I think that everybody's like they're just gonna fuck around with the names, and like we're just gonna say them. And some people change them every couple months.
We got Zach Hale. I'm sure he loves following Mike Oxbig. Eric Marrow from YouTube. You just had him on your show, actually.
Yeah.
So
That should
keep
be-
an eye on the Guitar Knob
Yeah.
space for that Eric Marrow episode.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We have
Couple weeks.
a couple weeks. Scott Hamilton from the Effects Loop podcast. and Tim Nowick from Bardic Audio Devices. And that's it.
There you go.
That's our list. Man.
Wow. It's a mouthful, darling.
I made it. Oh, my God. That's too much reading for me. Once a week.
My eyes are crossed.
All right. Well, ready to get out of here?
Yeah, thanks so much for listening and supporting. And Jared, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you, Brad.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you next week. Bye-bye. See ya.